Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitayah Pateye Namaha. Ayodhya Ch, chapter number 73, the wages of sin. The explanation is given as follows. So far we saw that Bharatha comes to Kaikeyi's palace. Kaikeyi informs him of the death of King Dashrath, the exile of Ram, Sita and Lakshman. And Bharata is confounded. Why exactly should a person as wonderful as Rama be exiled? And Kaikeyi mentions that it is because of her boons that Dashratha was forced to send Rama on an exile, and Sita and Lakshmana accompanied him. And now Kaikeyi wants Bharata to occupy the position as the king of Ayodhya. In this chapter and the next, we are going to see how Bharata harshly rebukes Kaikeyi's greed, and he at once admits that Kaikeyi is wrong and that the kingdom of Ayodhya belongs only to Lord Rama, and he is the servant of the Lord. Verse 1. Shrutva tu pitaram vrittam bhrataro cha vivasitau Bharata dukkha santapta idam vachanam abravit. With a darkening heart did Bharata listen to the glowing description of his father's pitiable death and of his brother's unjust doom. With uncontrollable grief he spoke. Sage Valmiki ensures that the readers understand the emotions of Bharata as soon as he has heard this terrible news. So he has put in the word dukkha santapta. So he is tormented with grief, uncontrollable grief. And Kaikeyi was exceptionally happy, and over here Bharata is exceptionally sad. So at once we can differentiate the emotions of Kaikeyi and Bharata. Anybody else in the same situation would be extremely happy or at least a little conflicted when they hear that they are the next ruler of an opulent kingdom like Ayodhya. But Bharata is filled with uncontrollable grief. Dukkha santapta ida. And with that grief, he speaks, Vachanam Abravit. He speaks some words. So these are words that are full of grief at the separation from Rama. That is the most important thing. Maybe Bharata can reconcile with the fact that his father is gone because he's 60,000 years old, and that is a natural passage of time. Any living entity that is born has to die. But Bharata was sad that his father died on account of grief of separation from Rama. And Rama had to go off into an exile because his mother, Kaikeyi, secured the kingdom for Bharata, thinking that that is what is best for him. So from three different directions, Bharata is hurt. He is uncontrollably hurt. And these words reflect that emotion. Verse 2. Kim nu karyam hatasya iha mama rajena shochatah vihinasyath pitra cha bhratra pitra samena cha. Bereft of my father and my brother who is exactly like my father, what is the use of a kingdom now to me, who am lamenting with despair? So Bharata is saying, what do I have to do with this vast empire, a luckless wretch that I am, with a heavy sin on my soul of the murder of my father and the consigning to living death of my brothers? The brothers, especially Rama, who is like a father to him, is now roaming about in the dreary woods. So what is Bharata going to do with the kingdom without either his father or Rama. In the first words that Bharata speaks, he very clearly mentions that he has no need for the kingdom. Then he mentions the level of affection that he has for Rama, so much so that he considers Rama to be the one to give him life like a father. And the third point is, he mentions the relationship that he has with Rama as that of a son who is obedient to his father. And Bharata also emphasizes that he can never be happy in the absence of Rama. Rama means the reservoir of all happiness. So how can he be happy without Rama? How can anybody hope to be happy without Rama? And now that Rama is away from him, Bharata says that he is shochataha. He is sinking in sorrow. He is lamenting uncontrollable grief, dukkha samtapta. And within 2 lines, just one verse, Bharata incorporates so many meanings and so much feeling, and he gives the conclusion of his rebuke at the very beginning, that he is not going to accept the kingdom. Even though he has a legal right to it, because the king of Ayodhya, King Dashrath, has now promised the kingdom to Bharata, therefore he has a legal right to it. But Bharata's morality and dharma indicate that it is morally wrong. Everything belongs to Rama. Therefore, how can he usurp something that belongs to Rama? It is not his. And in 2 lines, Bharata gives the gist of everything. This is a very important verse to remember. Verse number 3. Dukkhem dukkham akaror vrane ksharam iva adadha rajanam preta bhavastam kritva ramam chatapasam. You have brought upon one calamity after another. You ensured that King Dashratha would turn into a corpse, and you turned Rama into an ascetic. It is like sprinkling salt on a wound. So Bharata is basically saying that his mother's cruel hand is cutting deeper and deeper into the wound that she has caused, and lays salt and fire upon the gashes of the wound. Is it not enough for one man to bear the foul murder of my father? Would not your wretched soul rest until it had immured Rama to the depths of the dark forests? So Bharata explains that Kaikeyi was the one who brought about one calamity after the other. First is the exile of Lord Rama, which caused the death of King Dashrath. And Bharata is saying, "Oh mother, you piled on one calamity on top of the other." And this is very indicative of what happens to an ordinary person as well. There is one calamity on top of the other. And yet, look at the difference between how an ordinary Jivatma behaves and how Bharata behaves. Bharata immediately takes shelter of Rama, and he thinks about Rama and how he has to take the shelter of Rama and how he has to grasp the feet of Rama. An ordinary Jivatma hopes that there are no calamities at all. And that is not possible, because this material world is full of strife and misery. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. And therefore, the only way to survive in this material world is to be a devotee. Because a devotee takes shelter of the Lord. So the Lord protects the devotee, and therefore he is not afflicted by the miseries. It's not that the miseries will never come to him. It is that he is not afflicted by the miseries. And we can see the same thing with Bharata as well. He goes to Chitrakuta, he is disappointed once again, but yet Rama sends over his sandals, and for 14 years Bharata rules Ayodhya, taking the advice of the sandals of Rama. In the 115th chapter of Ayodhya Ch, we are going to see the coronation of Rama's sandals. And over there, Valmiki will very clearly explain that Bharata did nothing without taking the advice of the sandals of Lord Rama. And therefore, Bharata faced his great adversity and he conducted his duty towards the Lord. But over here, it was also his duty to open the eyes of Kaikeyi, because she was still full of greed, and therefore he had to tell her that even though she did everything thinking that it is going to be very beneficial to Bharata, her actions affect him adversely. And that's why he says that she piled on dukkhem dukkham makaror. She created one calamity after the other, one cause of misfortune after the other. And this is a very important point to note. Chapter number 73 and 74 of Ayodhya Ch are basically to open the eyes of Kaikeyi so that she can understand that what she did is wrong. Manthara said that what Kaikeyi is doing is correct, and so she followed it, and she did not listen to anybody else's words. She was not moved when Vashishta scolded her, or Dasharatha, or Sumantra, or another minister called Siddhartha. Nobody had any effect on Kaikeyi. Bharata knows that only he has some effect on Kaikeyi. And therefore, he spends 2 chapters rebuking Kaikeyi so that her eyes are opened. And we see that Kaikeyi also joins Bharata in his quest to make Rama return to Ayodhya. Kaikeyi is also part of that quest. However, if Bharata had not rebuked her right now, she would have never understood the folly of her own actions. Even in the previous chapter, Valmiki insists that Kaikeyi says these things thinking that it is very beneficial for Bharata. And he calls her Chapala Buddhi, he calls her Moodha, and he calls her fickle and unintelligent. And therefore, when a person is full of ignorance, you need to shine the light of knowledge. And therefore, Bharata says that what Kaikeyi has done is completely wrong. And he doesn't think that her activities are great. He calls those activities as dukkhem dukkham makaror. Dukkhem dukkham. It is one sorrow after the other, one calamity after the other, one misfortune after the other. So in this verse, Bharata succinctly tells Kaikeyi that her activities do not please him. He doesn't think that her deeds are wonderful. He thinks that her deeds caused great calamity in the Raghuvamsha. That the king, whom everyone wishes lives for a very long time, is now a corpse. And Rama, who has worn nothing but the royal clothes, who has eaten nothing but the royal food, who has slept nowhere but on the royal bed, on the royal couch, and who has been brought up in the lap of luxury, has now been converted into a tapasvi, into a hermit. The Kshatriyas do go into Vanprasthashram and all that stuff, but Lakshmana himself says this in the earlier chapters of Ayodhya Kand. He says that Vanprasthashram is correct. But this is not the time for Rama to take Vanprasthashram because he is supposed to give his kingdom to his sons and then go off into the forest. And Kusha and Lava were not yet born. And Rama was only 25 years old when he went off into the forest. The day after his 25th birthday is when Ram, Sita and Lakshmana go into the forest. And 25 years is not the time to take Vanprastha ashrama for Kshatriyas. They are supposed to rule the kingdom. Bharata over here is echoing Lakshmana's sentiments that this is not the time for Rama to go off into the forest, take a Vanprastha ashrama and live like a tapasvi, like a hermit. It is not the time for him. He is supposed to be the ruler of this country. He is supposed to rule people, take up royal responsibilities, and this is not the time for him to be a hermit. And yet, because of the calamity that Kaikeyi has brought about, Rama went off into the forest to make sure that his father's words were not falsified. This is also a very pivotal verse spoken by our beloved Bharata, and he mentions that Kaikeyi's actions caused him great displeasure, great sorrow. Verse number 4. Kulasya tvam abhavaya kala ratrir iva agata angaram upaguhyasma pitame nava buddhavan. Like the night of dissolution that blots out the whole universe and all it contains, where did you lie in wait all the while to bring disgrace and destruction upon the fair line of Ikshvaku? Alas, His Majesty took you into his household all unawares, even as one clasps to his bosom coals of living fire. Here Bharata very clearly indicates what he thinks of Kaikeyi. He believes that Kaikeyi is Kal Ratri, the night of dissolution, come for the destruction of the race of Ikshvaku. Because she has brought about such disgrace to the fair Ikshvaku line, and she has come to destroy the peace and prosperity that went along with this race. And the second thing that he says is that just as how embracing a live charcoal is fatal to the person who embraces it, similarly, the fact that King Dashratha showered so much of his love and attention towards his favorite wife Kaikeyi was in fact very destructive to the king himself. And as a consequence of his love towards Kaikeyi, King Dashratha himself died. Verse 5. Mrityam apadito raja tvaya me papadarshini Sukam parihritam mohat kulesmin kulapamsini. O malevolent woman, O woman with sinful thoughts, you caused the death of my father. O you who made our race unchaste, you chased away happiness from this race through your ignorance. Bharata says that the death of King Dashratha lies heavy upon the soul of Kaikeyi, and he sees her hand slay him. And he says that she brought great shame to the fair line of Ikshvaku. He is echoing the sentiments of his previous statement, wherein he calls her as Kala Ratri. Here he calls her as Kulapanshini, calls her as Papa Darshini, the one who has taken away the happiness of the whole family. So these are some very strong adjectives that Bharata uses against Kaikeyi.